the respiratory system. The air enters through the mouth or through the nose. Tucker is the small hairs and mucus lining the passageways of the nose to stop large particles. 3. The nasal cavities now open into the pharynx. The pharynx, or in this case, the hallway, splits into two tubes. The esophagus on the right, which leads to the respiratory system, and the trachea on the left, which leads to the digestive system. Baba J, which is the cilia, catches debris to prevent it from going down the windpipe, which is the trachea. The epiglottis is a flap-like structure which covers the opening to the trachea when food is being swallowed, which is the baby gate. As you can see, the windpipe is made up of many stiff cartilage rings, which is the tape. These rings are necessary so that the windpipe does not collapse when exhaling. Air travels down the windpipe to the larynx, which is the voice box. The Adam's apple, which is made up of thick cartilage, protects the voice box, which is the box. The voice box is made up of vocal cords. These vocal cords vibrate when air is forced from the lungs towards the pharynx.
The trachea splits into two bronchi, which further branch into the two lungs, which are the two rooms. This is the right lung. The bronchi separates into two bronchioles, and at the end of each bronchiole, there are alveoli. The balloons are the alveoli. Inside the alveoli are capillaries. Their job is to take carbon dioxide from the blood and to replace it with oxygen. Breathing is regulated by chemoreceptors. There are two types of chemoreceptors. The first is carbon dioxide chemoreceptors. They measure the levels of acid caused by carbon dioxide dissolving in the blood. When these acid levels get too high, the medulla oblongata of the brain is activated. This increases the movements of the diaphragm and rib muscles. This increases respiration rate and lowers the levels of carbon dioxide. The second is oxygen chemoreceptors. They detect levels of low oxygen and stimulate the medulla oblongata. They are only used as a backup for the carbon dioxide chemoreceptors. Breathing is controlled by several muscles.
The muscles are the diaphragm, internal intercostal muscles, and external intercostal muscles. Right underneath the lungs. It separates the chest cavity from the abdomen. It flattens and contracts to allow air to enter the lungs and relaxes and becomes dome-shaped to push air out from the lungs. External intercostal muscles. They are located in between your ribs. They help pull the ribs upwards and outwards to allow more movement for air in the lungs. According to my research, internal intercostal muscles help move the ribcage downwards. These muscles are only used during extreme exercise and are not used during regular breathing.
It provides the key.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Biology Network. Today with us we have a very special guest, Professor Bernice Rutherford. She is from McGill University. There she is a professor as well as a respiratory therapist. Let's give our special guest a very warm welcome.
Yay, Bernice! Yay!
Thank you so much for having me.
Today we will be covering a couple topics with Professor Bernice. We will be covering what a lung looks like when you smoke, what happens to the respiratory system in a smoker's body, and what actually causes asthma.
First of all, I brought some examples with me of lungs. This is a smoker's lung. It is very black from the tar because not even 30% of the tar from cigarettes leaves your body. This is a normal, healthy lung. The first thing that happens when you smoke, some smoke is released from your eyes, nose, and mouth. This causes some discomfort, causing your eyes to water, your nose to run, and your throat to hurt. Smoke also attacks the cilia, the small hairs in your nose, paralyzing them.
That doesn't sound very good.
That isn't all that happens. Deep inside the lungs, smoke attacks the small cells that are trying to clean the substances out of the alveoli.
And what exactly are the alveoli?
They're tiny sacs in your lungs.
Well, thank you very much. Now moving on to asthma. What causes asthma?
Asthma is caused by swollen airways. These airways are used to carry the air in and out of the lungs. These airways react and the muscles around them tighten. As a result, the airways get smaller, allowing less air to flow in and out of the lungs.
Is there a cure for asthma?
There is no known cure, but with regular medical attention, people can live normally with asthma.
Well, thank you very much again for sharing all this information with our viewers. Next week, we will be talking about the digestive system, so stay tuned. Thanks.